So, running down the list of Democratic candidate appearances on The Breakfast Club, we've got starting with Hillary Clinton's famous hot sauce in the purse incident. That was pretty good. Hot sauce in the purse. We've got Kamala Harris saying, "I smoked weed and listened to Tupac mixtapes in college before Tupac was even a solo artist." We have Charlemagne particularly humiliating Elizabeth Warren and making her look like to be a fool.
That is tough to do. I mean, Meghan McCain pulled it off, so it's clearly difficult.
Well, I like the Charlemagne clip with Elizabeth Warren because he was just like, "Well, like how were you a Republican when they were doing all this evil shit?" And she was just like, "Oh, I wasn't political then. Like I wasn't paying attention to politics."
She was just a law student.
It was about that money.
and no, it's
I was securing the bag.
She was like literally in like college Republicans or something. Like,
and yeah, no, Charlemagne just said to her like, "Oh, like he was like, you thought you were a Native American, and then like you thought you were a Republican." He was like, "You sound confused."
I'm
like,
she was like, skirt. I'm gonna hit the Rory.
Well, it's funny. It's like Chris just brought this up. It's like what's funny about like Charlemagne and the Breakfast Club as a platform for these political interviews is like he's like they're really not going out of their way to do like gotcha questions or like come up with like embarrassing sound bites where that they're like looking to catch them out. They just get good material by asking them fairly normal questions
because they're not normal people. They're mutants, folks. They're lizards in like real ways. They're lizards.
And
they don't
people
have
always
lives
ask
that we
when they try to
recognize.
figure out someone's baseline sort of normalness, they always do that stupid thing where they're like, how much does a gallon of milk cost?
Right.
And it's like, no, they learned those things.
Yeah, they have a little laminated card in their wallet with all the prices on them.
Yeah, they have a dossier on normal people things, which by the way, I just throw it in the basket. I don't look at how much milk costs. It's not my most expensive item, so I tend not to. I couldn't tell you how much a gallon of milk costs.
Of course, this is all
Amber.
wow.
I know.
Podcasting celebrity.
Just wilding out on milk. I never, even when I was super broke, I was just like, well, it's milk.
I don't
This is
think I
not
could
gonna
tell
be.
you.
This is not my high price item.
I don't think I could tell you how much a gallon of milk costs because I never buy milk in the gallon size because then I have to carry it home and it's like that's just too heavy.
That's too heavy, baby.
I'll get a a pint or a liter.
I get the
or
little
something.
guy.
Yeah.
I don't buy milk because it's sus.
Why
Dairy
is
products are sus.
Matt doesn't buy milk because it's too spicy for him.
It is too exactly, yes.
Well, I mean, this is all by way of introducing both the show. It's Chapo. Hello, welcome. It's me again, and your friends. Joe Biden just appeared on The Breakfast Club. He was interviewed by Charlemagne, and I guess made a lot of headlines just because of how hard he was vibing. And I would like to spend some time talking about Joe vibing, and obviously, like the thing that everyone has been incensed about, or making fun of, or talking about is the clip at the end of the interview where, like, I forget what point in the interview, but like it's the clip everyone shared where Joe Biden's just like, hey, listen, Mac, like if you ain't voting for Joe, you ain't black, and like it's sort of like it's just like sort of the it's the bad podcast guest thing that I think we all fall victim to, where you're trying to riff too hard and everything just like falls flat.
Yeah, sometimes you fall out of the riff zone and you get into race play. It's all happened to us. It all happened. Like, I will never forget when I went on my favorite podcast, The Daily, with Michael Barbaro, and spent and I had already done a good 2 hours about the the morning show primary, as we called it, and who's winning the eating primary. But then I ruined the whole interview by talking about if the Nintendo character Kirby was a Korean gentleman. And I had a very offensive impression of a Korean man that I greatly regret. And I haven't been invited back on the program since. And it's just sort of sad to see Joe. The same thing happened to Joe. It's like an easily avoidable mistake.
Joe Biden, go on Come Town.
I like it. It's the clip was funny, like I'm obviously sympathetic to Joe because I know what it's like when a riff doesn't work. You flex too hard and it's just it didn't come across right. You much better strategy just sort of lay in the cut, pick your spots, and then also sort of display like disdain for the person you're talking to. Like that's the correct riffing
if someone's
podcast
inviting
strategy.
you on their podcast, you are above them. They
Yes,
need you.
exactly.
They're lower than shit.
Yeah.
And you should spread your wings and do the riffs you know are good. It's not a good time to experiment. Like Joe was probably in the group DM with that one. And he's like, I've been thinking about this new one, and like the problem is Joe's in a group DM with too many yes men who are like, that's a because he's probably the biggest account in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's a great riff, Joe. And so he just sort of like really didn't test it out before. So
Yeah, he doesn't have like the perfect balance of like a group DM that has like 3 people that are like completely incapable of taking care of themselves and are just funny because they can't really function very well in society.
yes.
People, who get caught like shoplifting cleaning chemicals. You need like a few, like at least 1 or 2 normal dads who are like involved family men. There's a gamer contingency, 1 girl, a guy who never says anything except once a month, and it's the funniest thing. Like, it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah.
In Joe Biden's case, the girl is Anita Dunn, though. So I think that's where some of the advice is coming from. And also, crucially to the DM, you got to have the guy who shows up once a month, lurks the rest of the time, and then just shows up once a month to tell you about what's going on in his life. Where he's just like, hey, everybody, like I got an oil change for my car, and he sends you a picture of like what it looks like under the hood.
It's like, nice car, man.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just a great guy, and you're happy he's there.
So obviously, like, the clip of Joe Biden's failed riff is the one getting a lot of burn. But of course, immediately when people started like making fun of that, or even implying that it was perhaps racist of Joe Biden to say you ain't black if you're not voting for Joe Jack, is that all of the people who spent like all of last year convincing everyone that Bernie Sanders and his supporters are racist have found every way to just tell me you have to listen to the whole interview to get the context of what triggered Joe into saying that. And you know what? I took their advice and saw the rest of the interview, and people really, really missed a beat by making this the thing that everyone talked about, because there was a lot of other great stuff in this Joe Biden interview that, I've been assured is okay to say. It's an okay thing to say. It's not bad. It's not wrong. And certainly shouldn't affect your like judgment or of his character or morality in saying these things. Never. And so like I would just like to go through some of the other clips from the Joe Biden Charlemagne interview that I think have gotten unfairly sort of shunted to the side amidst this pseudo controversy.
In many ways, he's suffering from his own success. He had this one-hit wonder, and no one really listens to the deep cuts. I think that's a Biden thing.
All right, so Chris, why don't you pull up the first one, the first clip, which is I've titled "Carnival Games," and I would like to just give a thank you to Jack Allison, who is the one who actually pulled all of these clips and compiled them for us here. So let's watch that first clip. Joe Biden talks about carnival games.
Yeah, we know polls can be illusions, though. Like, we looked at all the polls in 2016 too, and look what happened.
Totally different, man. 2016 is totally different. What you had then is you had somebody who didn't know it all. They wanted to just change the system the way it was. He was the biggest change. He had no serious opposition that turned out to materialize. And so it's totally different. Right now, we're in a situation where it's like, that Carney show goes through town once and you find out there's no pee under any one of those 3 shells that get pushed around. Mm-hmm. Next time it comes back, what do? Next time back, you ain't playing. You got to figure it out. And let me tell you something. My community's figured it out a while ago. But here's the deal. What I have to do is I have to continue to talk about the things that matter. And the things that matter are, for example,
fairness and carnival games.
A study out of Columbia University and the Disease Control Center up there. They pointed out that if he had listened to me and others and acted just 1 week earlier to deal with this virus, there'd be 36,000 fewer people dead. Dead. And you guys are wondering what's he doing? Come on, man. Get a life.
I love every time, Joe. There's so much great shit in this clip.
There's so much going on here.
I want to say the thing I love most about Joe's verbal style is like whenever he has to end a sentence, he's like, oh shit, I don't know how'd I even get in here, man? So he has to start yelling to get out of it. It's like he echolocates his way out of a sentence, and you saw this in the debate a lot. Like when it was his the first debate, his closing statement was hilarious. It was something like, I remember when John McCain said, "Can you carry my coffin?" I said, "It's an honor, man. You're a never man. I'm a man." And that's what it's really all about. And then he's like, "Oh no, how do I get out of this?" And he's just like, and that's what it's all about. He just has to shout his way out. And this one, like, he's in the middle of this thing about this study that, like, God knows how that's being filtered in his brain. And the Carney show, which is a great thing to call a carnival, and the pee under the shell. But he's like, "Oh, man, I don't recognize this neighborhood." Like,
Dead. I want their families dead. I want the place where they work burned to the ground. Okay, so yeah, I feel like this tribute. I mean, this clip of Biden pays such tribute to you, Felix, because like he is more E1 Biden than Joe Biden was before you guys did that episode. And I think you guys should take no small amount of credit for willing this into being. Like he is becoming that guy with more and more with every passing day. I mean, just talking about the carnival game with the P in it, and then so he says like, we got to beat him. He's like, we got to beat him by talking about what's important. But I'm saying that after this anecdote about a P game at the Carney show, and then the other thing, like it starts out with him saying, like Charlemagne is bringing up the reasonable point that, while national polls maybe or even state ones may be showing him with a good lead on Trump right now, we know based on prior experience that those can be perhaps, fool's gold, or we shouldn't put too much stock in them. And then he just immediately is like, "It's wrong, man. Wrong. 2016, totally different than now."
And his explanation of 2016 is so insane. Like, is he saying that Trump had no serious opposition? Like, he beat 16 candidates in the primary.
And also, is he just owning Hillary there? In which case, that's pretty funny. If he's essentially saying Hillary wasn't actually competition to him.
Well, we know that Joe resents Hillary. So, like, maybe,
well, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, she stole the spot. Like, he clearly was going to run in 2016. Obama talked him out of it. And then he allowed that to happen. And then he looks back and he's like, that was my shot. And so now, yeah, he's going to be tormented about it until he gets there.
Man, that was the last year of my good brain, man.
I could have actually done something as president. I could have remembered some of it.
Man, I didn't get lost in the sentences before that.
And
didn't
so
have
he's
to shout so much, man.
And what I like about this is that he's using the metaphor of the carnival barker, of the sort of the big top grifter, fleecing pigeons on the boardwalk or whatever with 3-card money or whatever, as a stand-in for Trump and the election. And he was like, well, 2016 was the election where we all got fleeced by, we figured out we couldn't actually throw that ring over the thing that would let us get the giant, teddy bear. Then he's like, and then but you realize when there's no pee under the cup, you learn, you come back. And it's just like, if he's using this as a metaphor for American democracy and like sort of amoral hucksterism and demagoguery represented vis-a-vis Trump, he's got it all backwards. Like the whole point of this country is that like you go back to the pea cup game every single fucking time.
And Joe Biden is proof positive of that. He's the nominee because so many fucking rubes are still going back to the Obama carnival game, where they didn't have the middle class basically wiped out and replaced with gig economy hamster wheel misery. Even before the fucking COVID or whatever the fuck.
And even explaining that the game is rigged is no barrier to a line around the block of potential contestants because they want to figure it out. They think they're smarter than it. That's why it works. Like Joe should be coming up with a better game. He should be doing the little the BB gun game or the ring toss or something. He should be providing a better rigged game for people to play.
Certainly. I mean, and also I have never seen. Well, that's like 3-card Monty, right? I've never seen any variation of 3-card Monty at a carnival. I'm just going to say that.
I mean, it's a little different with cups and a pea, But
but I've never seen the pea in the cups either.
No,
it's actual
mainly
carnival?
ring toss.
It's ring toss. It's it's the gun. It's like spraying the water in the clown's mouth so that you can win the horse race.
Throwing a baseball at milk bottles.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of infrastructure to it. I mean, some guy's got like a tent next to the carnival with a fucking pea in it, I think, is where he went. Joe, where did you go with the carnival man?
But yeah,
there was no carnival in town, Joe.
But all of this and like the subsequent clips as well. But just Joe, the personality, the figure of Joe Biden in this moment in his life and the world, largely due to Felix, I am coming around to the position that it is more and more likely that Joe Biden will win this election and maybe even win it easily, because Felix, as you pointed out, he's become funnier than Trump to to listen to and talk to. Like it's the dumbest possible outcome. It's the one that will lead to people not only not learning anything, but like erasing shit that they might have already learned. You know what I mean? Like
it's the perfect capstone to the last like decade and a half of the culture, where it's like just every fucking media concern that's owned by a guy in the Emperor's suit from Warhammer 40,000. Just the most evil fucking cunts alive. They stopped writing articles about how we need to... Well, they still wrote articles about how we need to take care of the deficit by incinerating people on Medicaid. But they began like telling you, being more didactic, like cynically adopting social justice and academic language. And every Netflix thing became like just a mic dropping marathon with no jokes. It was this liberal takeover of the culture, like liberal anxiety that took over the culture, that accelerated when Trump won. And when Trump won, they're like, we're going to take on the structural problems that led to this. And it led to just a few years of the shittiest culture ever, because they don't actually have a political solution to it. And all they could think of was just like being very didactic to people and coming up with the weirdest workarounds for the problems of American culture. But what would be a better outcome for that? For this least memorable stretch of American culture, for just a man with no memory who gets in there and erases all of that. We just go back to like the culture of 2008 and the political culture of 2008. None of this fucking meant anything. We just get this man whose brain is room temperature shit, and he wins not because of like all this shit that like Democrats and the liberal media pretended to care about. It turns out no one cared about that. If you look at what happened in the primary, he wins because most Americans are like, oh, Joe Biden's stupid like my boss. I'm voting for him.
No, but like we talked about it before, it's like whether it's basically erasing like all of the culture and politics of Me Too pretty much overnight. Like he's also destroyed like, and it's like of the politics of if you're an old white guy, you can't say shit like, hey, listen, Mac, your hood pass is revoked if you vote for my opponent. You know what I mean? And all the same people are assuring us now that this is fine and good. And like
remember when these people found 500 reasons why you were racist for wanting Medicare for all? Joe Biden is like, you could practically just see like his lawn jockey in the frame of his Zoom interviews, and it's like they're like, oh, that's actually cool. And it's like, I don't.
And you know what?
Shit.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Like the thing is, most people like they don't give a shit about that. Certainly, apparently, based on the outcome, black voters certainly don't give a shit about any of this.
No,
I mean, look who they voted for. They voted for this guy. So like, it must not bother them in the same way that like. But I'm just saying, like, I know this is cheap to do, but imagine if Bernie Sanders had said anything like the stuff he did in this interview.
Right.
Like
right.
he would have been made to drop out like the day after.
Right, because it was
by the
never...
same people telling you now that like this is fine, it's okay.
Right, because none of these people fucking ever gave a shit about this, and you were a fool if you ever thought you could square the circle of like either whether it was democratic socialist values or socialist values or whatever to show them how good you were doing, because it was never about that.
Yeah. Which is why also, like, literally you have to view any sort of opportunity to talk to them or debate them as essentially a show you're putting on for an audience of people that might be amenable, because you're not actually trying to convince them of anything.
Oh, no.
Like,
no, it's yeah, they're in a pasinature. It depends on them continuing to sell this bullshit. Like all the tap dancing and mental gymnastics that go into defending Biden, it's really defending their own place in the discourse and saying,
right.
Okay, I still have to defend Biden because I'm part of this media political complex known as the Democratic Party, but I'm not just a dumbass who is hostage to the whims of this senile old maniac. No, let me tell you why this actually isn't bad. And you have somebody like Hannah Jones, the lady who Hannah Jones who got a Pulitzer, I think.
Yeah, she got a Pulitzer.
The 1619
By the way,
project.
that entire project is a historical mess.
Because it's tried
awful.
to describe racism as the fundamental thing that shapes America, not its mode of production.
Yeah,
and
but
here
I
she
mean,
is
also
saying,
just in terms of basic fact checking.
well, yes, it's very sloppy.
It's
all
been incredibly
motivated.
sloppy. So the thesis is ridiculous, but also every American historian is losing their shit that this is the sort of bullshit that we're fucking now being exported into curriculums, because a lot of schools, by the way, are very underfunded, and this is an NGO now. The 1692 Project is an NGO now.
Yeah.
And so they'll just take whatever, we'll take the money, we're underfunded. So that has become a part of the curriculum. They've strong-armed their way into public schools. And by the way, that is going to result in a pretty bad, understandable reactionary backlash.
And you have to like it because Ben Shapiro doesn't like it. That means it has to be good.
Right.
But her whole project has been saying, no, forget capitalism, schmapitalism, miss me with that white nonsense. Racism is the only real thing. Race is the only real thing. And then when Biden says this, he's like, actually, you can be black. You could be white if you vote for you could be black if you vote for Democrats, I guess. Because, I mean, if you're not black and if you're a black person who doesn't vote Democrat, then you're not a black person, according to what she was implying. That means, by the transitive property, a white person who votes for Democrats can be a black person. And so she destroys her entire edifice of ideology for a half a day's worth of relief from the pressure of being a fucking public Biden supporter and the intellectual humiliation that goes along with that. It's astounding.
Think about if you have a mom who's mom and dad. They're you knew them before. They were well-meaning, like John Kerry, Bill Clinton, whatever voters. And then for the past 5 years, just every time you talk to them, you're yeah, my mom and dad are really into black women. What the fuck? It's all they talk about. It's they're both white. All the people they know are white. Anyone they interact with is white. But all they talk about is to have the grace of a black woman. It's very weird. The racial politics of the last few years that have been made for mass consumption are bizarre because the result is just it's through Marvel brain, and it's these white people just oh, what's the best kind? Oh, a black woman? Yeah, no, that's my favorite. And but what Biden means if Biden wins is your parents will stop doing that. Anna Navarro will stop talking about black girl bad. It's a license for these people to stop doing this, basically. That's right, I think why it was so easy for a lot of these people to jump on Biden.
I mean, bearer. Yeah, basically everyone owes Rachel Dolezal a huge apology.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other move to come out of this is to say this is a bit awkward, but it's for reasons like this that Joe Biden really needs to choose Stacey Abrams as his VP or a black woman or Kamala Harris, right? So that they can prevent him or from making gaffes like this or show that he understands. And it's just well, what are you going to do if he doesn't? What you've already said that it is if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you are morally diseased in some way, or you're throwing every poor and marginalized person into a fucking corn thresher by not voting for this asshole. And it's just well, what are you going to do if he doesn't? What if he picks Amy Klobuchar? You've staked out a position for yourself where you have no leverage here. We are not on this show since fucking Bernie dropped out. We are not demanding anything of Joe Biden or the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
we're in no position to. Who gives a shit? It's their problem. Yeah,
it's stupid to demand that he nominate or that he get a black woman VP. It's fucking stupid to release a statement saying he should drop out. It's just stupid. It has nothing to do with you. You are just talking to hear yourself talk.
Yeah.
At least we know that That's the purpose of a podcast.
Yeah.
And I also know, like, it may be distasteful to you personally, but voters don't give a fuck about any of this. They like Joe Biden because he says shit like, if you ain't voting for Joe, you ain't black, Jack. Like,
yeah, they like a stupid, epic old man. Like, did you see who won last time? That's who won.
Yes,
That's
and
who
also,
Americans
stupid, epic old man.
Yeah.
Also,
I
like,
rate bad
even
grandpa.
if you, even going after him, like, you don't have any credit for shit like that. You don't have any credibility anymore if you were any one of the people who, like, tried to assassinate our beautiful Queen Rachel. You're already, like, you've proven yourself as, like, a humorless person who tried to just, destroy the life of a harmless eccentric that just so happened to absorb all of the incoherence of America's racial politics in a creative and charming way, by the way. And so, like, why would anyone listen to you? Like, literally, you're not going to assassinate Joe Biden's character. You don't have any credibility. No one shares your values.
I tried to assassinate Joe Biden's character and it didn't work. So
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
And we're better
I'm enjoying
at it,
him
by the
now.
way.
Yeah. Okay, let's see another couple clips from the Joe Biden interview.
Hell yes.
There's
Give me some more of
there's a
these.
lot of other gems in here.
God, these delicious bonbons.
Yeah.
That I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago, Sean Combs. You might know him as Diddy.
Yep.
Absolutely. Including myself, feel, and that's that Democrats take black voters for granted. Votes are quid pro quo, right? It's not like I don't want to vote. I just want to know what candidates will do for us in exchange for our votes. The same way young progressive Latinos, the LGBT community,
Absolutely.
We want the same thing. Do you feel like black people are owed that from the Democratic Party?
Absolutely, Bob. What did I say? Remember when they said Biden can't win the primaries?
Yes.
I kicked everybody's out. Excuse me.
I need you to say that. You did what?
No, I won overwhelmingly. I told you when I got to South Carolina, I won every single county. I won a larger share of the black vote than anybody has, including Barack. I increased the vote in Virginia overwhelmingly by 70%. Look, what people don't know about me is I come from a state that's the 8th largest black population in America. The 8th largest. I get 96% of that vote for the last 40 years. They're the folks, as they say it my way, brung me to the dance. That's how I get elected every single time. And everybody's shocked. I get overwhelming support from the black leadership, young and old. Every poll shows me way ahead. And it's not just, I hear this, old blacks are with Biden, but youngs aren't. Look at the polling data. Polling data, let's say it's off by half.
Yeah,
on,
okay.
Man. Give me a little break here.
Okay. All right. I gotta break this down a couple ways. So Charlemagne begins by asking and articulating like a very simple and easy to understand point that so many people are offended by. And like Charlemagne, he is our I guess publishing label mate. He has some goofy political opinions, but like what he says here is essentially like, do you think Democrats take black voters for granted? And that like in voting for a politician, it's a quid pro quo. Like you vote for a politician because you expect something in return from them.
Right. And Joe decides to talk about something completely different.
Yes. And not okay. So the question is, like, if you assume a model of that, like voters should get something, politicians should do something for the people who vote for them, and that you should expect them to. The standard liberal Democrat brain now is like that is deeply, that's blasphemy to describe that like that politicians need to do something for you by outside of not being a Republican.
They don't owe you anything.
Okay, so then he says, like, do you think that Democrats take the black vote for granted? And then he proceeds to rattle off, again, a couple of like actual lies. I don't think he did win a bigger share of the black vote in the South Carolina primary than Barack Obama did. And nor do I think polls would show that he has overwhelming black support under the age of 40.
Well, no, I'm sure he does. No, against Trump, yeah, he does.
Okay,
for
probably.
sure. Of
All right,
course,
well,
but the thing is, what percentage of that group are going to vote for him? Are going to come out? Like, if you're talking about people who are going to vote, we know what the turnout is for younger voters of all races. It's dog shit, which means most of them don't like him.
And like what I like about this is the question is, do you think Democrats take the black vote for granted? And then his answer says that for 40 years, I've gotten 99% of the black vote. Every black person votes for me. So, like, yeah, fuck you. Like, he gets angry at this, and then he gets angry at the implication that he's taking his 99, like his unbroken record of, winning the support of every black person for granted by not answering the question and just saying that, like, literally taking all those votes for granted by just saying, well, I have them, so how can anyone question it?
Exactly, because they have no answer anymore. The Democratic Party has been stripped of any enticement to vote for them positively. Obviously, they have no economic platform, but with Biden, they don't even have representational benefits for minority groups who would like to see someone of their group in a high position. All they have is not Republican, and so when he's pushed, because he doesn't have a brain anymore, all that's left is like the reptile brain response, which is obey. I own you. Because I am the only thing standing between you and what you imagine to be the apocalypse of unrestrained Republican government. And then nobody wants to, and the reason these are gaffes is because you're supposed to pretty that up. And you're supposed to deny it's true. But he doesn't have the bandwidth anymore to pull out anything. Because there's nothing to do except use flowery words to get around the hole at the center of it. And he is not very flowery these days.
Yeah, no. I mean, Hillary, to her credit, was like understood what the purpose of this question was, and she'd talk about like, some weird like means tested thing, like similar to the Kamala thing, like if you got a Pell Grant and started a small business, blah blah blah, like I uniquely blah 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 blah. Pete, anyone, like name anyone, Michael Bennett would know how to do this. Joe doesn't, but maybe that's kind of why people just fell in line for Joe.
Everyone's sick of fucking bullshit.
During the primary, we were making analogs for Bernie in 2020 to Trump 2016. And it worked in some ways, but it ultimately fell apart. And the reason it fell apart is because the Republican base is obstinate and they know exactly what they want. The Democratic base falls in line. They are more malleable than the Republican base, and they don't like it when their own party is attacked, unlike the Republican base.
Yeah, they love it when you're mean to Republicans because they think they're all rhinos.
Yeah, but who is the Democratic Trump then? It's Joe Biden.
He is embodying all of their
image.
Yeah.
He's such a mirror image. There's the fucking family self-dealing. There's the mental collapse. There's just the decades and decades of baggage that you would think disqualify him, and no one gives a shit. It's shocking. It's shocking what Trump did, or what Biden did rather, with Burisma and Hunter is like it's a fucking mirror of some Trump family bird brain bullshit. They both have like the same shitty type of corruption that results from their small imaginations. They're both these entitled old pieces of shit, and that's also what people like about both of them.
Yes,
and the answer to his question though is like when he was just like, well. Like, yeah, like, what do you owe, like, black voters? And, like, his answer is basically, well, if 95% of them are going to vote for me no matter what I do, why do I owe them anything?
Exactly.
And he has a point. He kind of has a point, honestly.
If Trump got 96% of the, like, if Trump had, like, got 96% of the black vote, like, that's exactly what he would say.
Yeah, look at them, they love me. Look at how much they love me.
Right.
They love it.
So it's like, this is the perfect mirror election.
Yeah, and they both reflect their party's base. Like the older people who make up the base of both parties in terms of who votes in primaries specifically, they saw the guy and they're like, that's basically me. Yeah, I want him to be president. They got representation, but just old, cranky, senile, miserable prick who is also hilarious.
No, he's funnier. He's funnier than Trump is now, and like I think Felix is right. I think that's why he's in a very good position to win this election.
I think if they held this election today, Joe Biden would win. I think that there's a lot that could happen, though. Like I think if I had to bet what's going to happen November, I still favor Trump to win a little bit more. I think if this was even Biden with his brain from 2 years ago, he would stomp Trump. But the problem that Biden's going to have in this election is that the worst thing he can look like is what he is, which is a stupid baby who needs to be led around. And it's going to be very easy for Team Trump to make it look that way.
Oh, did you see the interview where they asked him, when the interviewer asked him, what do you think Joe Biden, what does he bring to the campaign? What are his strengths as an opponent? And he goes, well, I was going to say experience, but I don't know if Joe remembers anything. I don't know if he knows where he is. All right, and it's like when you have someone, the president, saying that all day, and you have no way of rebutting it, because what do? Have him go out and talk to prove that he's wrong?
Come on, man. I remember my life. Who are you kidding? I recall events.
There's a man in suspenders. I remember him.
All right, let's he'll just describe Don Draper's childhood.
Yeah, the hobo code. We etched it onto the fence posts.
Back in those days, it was easier to take a man's identity. My name isn't Joe Biden, man.
A lot of people
By the time I went to Korea, I knew I didn't want to go back to the farm, man. We couldn't even grow any sorghum. Who are you kidding? Get a life.
A lot of people said, listen, Jack, a lot of people said my dad was an untrustworthy man, but they were just doing graffiti, and he's not even my dad. He's just owns the whorehouse I was raised in, Jack. All right. Well, all right. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm talking about Main Street.
No, come on. Like, who you kidding? I met Conrad Hilton, okay? He said, okay, if you do blackface at your own wedding, that's one thing, but I'm sorry, that's stupid. I shouldn't have said that. I talk too much.
Shucks.
Tax credit, man.
That is my absolute favorite thing that he does, and I hope he does it more and more, and I think he will, is when he realizes that he is in a blind alley of a sentence, and instead of yelling, just kind of goes, shucks, I messed that up.
Those are the two ways he gets into. Like, he's either Joe Biden's verbal style now is walking into the wrong house, and the two things he can do are like, what the hell are you doing in my house, man? Get out of here. or like, oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake.
It's like you come home, he's in your living room making a sandwich in your refrigerator, and you're like, oh my God, how the hell did you get in my house? And then he just goes, they're dead, man. Dead. Dead.
By the way, that's the one thing that could actually fuck this up for him, because obviously if they beat Trump, a big reason is because enough people blame him for all the dead people thanks to this virus. And it hurts your case when you hit it that hard, because then people really do see it as instrumental, as you literally are politicizing death. And I know obviously that's an absurd thing to say, and it's a dumb belief. Everything's politicized, certainly during a political campaign, but people think that way. People do have that idea of like, it's tawdry to exploit death for politics. And you can get around that if you finesse it, but just yelling "dead" is not going to do that.
Yeah,
it's like he's happy about it.
Yeah,
because it's giving him a chance to be president.
Okay, let's watch another Joe Biden clip.
Hell yes,
let's go. Let's keep it rolling. I believe this is him talking about the crime bill.
School. I had a job, a country club kind of job at a swimming pool. I was the only white employee in the East Side because I wanted to work in the projects, because I wanted to understand. That's how I got involved in politics. That's what this is all about for me. It's about equality. It's about dignity. It's about treating people with respect. And so, when you take a look at my record, people talk about the crime bill. Crime bill didn't increase mass incarceration.
Oh, word?
Other things increased mass incarceration. And the reason why, if you go back and look, and I know you talk about it, you go back and take a look. That's why you had the vast majority of the Black caucus at the time supporting the crime bill. Almost every major city black mayor supported the crime bill, because blacks were getting killed overwhelmingly as well.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I truly love about this is that Joe Biden will always have more black friends, supporters, and admirers than any of the women who say things like Black Twitter ain't having no Bernie. Like, any of the women that use like black women gifs as hieroglyphics, as sort of like avatars of sassiness, who so badly want a black friend, will never have the number of friends, admirers, or supporters that are black that Joe Biden does. And that makes me feel so good.
It's very funny.
No one likes to sin.
Part of that is, though, because he was the fastest white boy in the Big Ten. It was this interview that I realized, because obviously Felix has talked about how Joe Biden is Dan Quinn, but it occurred to me that Trump is Demonius X.
That's
and that
genius,
this is the YouTube maniac election, and it's Demonius X versus Dan Quinn. And I gotta say, if we're at the terminal state where all we could do is like watch things fall apart in the most amusing and root for the most amusing combination of falling objects, you can't beat that, really.
By the way, I gotta say, I am trying to figure out how to stop looking into the snow globe and make everyone realize that last 10 years I was just sort of daydreaming. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to do it.
Damn it,
I'm
Felix.
trying. I'm really trying.
We're living in your fucking dying DMT fantasy.
No, this is Saint Elsewhere, and I'm the child of the snow globe.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Trump as Demonius X because that's genius. I never thought about that. Like if Trump was born poor, he would be Demonius. Because it's like that. The Access Hollywood and Demonius's inaugural rant about fleshlights and having the bitch over there on that bed, and I was rallying her snatch like there's no tomorrow. It's the same subtext, which is like you don't believe I've had sex, so let me talk about sex in the least sexual terms you've ever heard, possible. They're so similar. It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, Demonius X is actually doing much better now. He's on an arc of self-improvement that Donald Trump would never have. But it is Joe is so Dan Quinn because I feel like maybe 1% of his stories are true.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They have that in common.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like it's incredible. This is the perfect end to American culture and empire.
The guy
It's what we
defended
deserve.
his vote on the crime bill by saying he worked at a fucking swimming pool.
That's awful. That's like what Dan Quinn would say if he was in Congress.
And
they're
then
like,
he
"Why
also
did you do this?"
and then he also said the crime bill did not result in mass incarceration, and then defends it by saying black people supported it. Like
Well,
I did it for
That
you.
is true.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you're talking about black politicians, yeah, shit. Even Bernie voted for the crime bill.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of blame to go around there, but you can't say 30 years after the fact that it did not lead to like this insane explosion in our prison population.
I mean, obviously it was a confluence of factors, but one of them has got to be a law that increased how long people stay in prison for crimes.
Yeah.
That increases the number of people in prison. It's length of sentences, not just infractions. It's length of sentences that keep people in prison. Because if you're not in there for that long, you don't have that many people in the prison. They stack up when you keep keeping them in there for decades.
I do want to. This clip is an example of one of Biden's. I think it's kind of a strength, and we saw it during the last debate. And remember when Bernie's like, you voted, you argued for decreasing Social Security payouts and gutting it. And he was like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Even though there's hours of video of it. It's like he has the gift that Trump has also. Democrats, like there's something in their brain where it's like they have trouble like lying directly, so they have to come up with a bunch of semantic workarounds and weird and out. Like Pete's a great example of someone who does this, but Joe will just be like, "No, it didn't."
Yeah, he also just maybe he doesn't think he did at this point.
No,
It's not a lie if you believe it.
My favorite Biden quote is one I think from a few years ago. They got a video of him, and he said they asked him if he regretted any vote or anything, and he said, I don't regret anything I have ever done."
By the way,
Trump has literally said that.
Yep.
By the way, just this week, Pod Save John, to set Biden in contrast with Trump, says that Biden has always admitted when he was in the wrong and will own up to it.
Yeah,
and he's like,
sure,
I
you
wish we
nailed
could have
it.
a
You
president
nailed
like
it,
that
John.
again. Yeah. So
Just a question for the Johns. How much next time you have Biden on? How much of his audio do you think you're gonna have to edit out?
Yeah. How rock bottom are you going to have to fucking
they're
make that
they're
thing?
gonna give Joe Biden the Felix treatment next time he comes on the fucking show.
They have to, dude. Like it'll just be like 30 minutes of ad reads, and then like I had a nice day.
Again, I have to add, Joe Biden has refused to ever come on Pod Save America.
Awesome.
Still.
Too hard,
So
too
cool.
tough. Hey,
Dude,
I'm not going to go into the lion's den.
I mean, that's probably why he's a winner. Is
Yeah.
staying the
So that like, do you think
That
he
is
went on
Chad, by the way. That's
Charlemagne-
Chad as shit.
Do you think he went on Charlemagne because he thought he was the Holy Roman Emperor? Then? we're two,
Battle
we're
of
two
Tours.
old school guys. Your dad was in politics. Pippin the Short, I knew him. Council Frankfurt, man, I'll never forget. I was the first non-Prussian to go over there to the east side. I wanted to see what they were about.
I wanted one of those hats.
Okay, last Joe Biden clip.
Why does it not make sense to have African Americans who are getting out of prison serve their time, everybody for that matter, be able to have public housing? Why doesn't it make sense that they can have Pell Grants to go to school?
Pell
Why doesn't
Grants?
it make sense they can have access to
Pell
health care?
Grants for
What are we, nuts?
I
That's what we keep doing.
Yeah,
So sorry, that's our time there.
No, I'm sorry. I know Jill has to use this, but I'm talking too much.
Jill has to use
Jill has to use this. Jill has to use the computer den. That's why I have to leave the interview. No, that was his campaign stepping in to be like, okay, time to wrap it up. But I did like that because I think they decided to wrap it up because they realized that he had just committed himself to guaranteeing federal housing for recently released felons. And they're like, oh,
Well,
we're definitely not going to do that. Yeah.
I also very much enjoyed.
They're not going.
Yeah,
to.
but the thing is, he's not talking about that. Like the way he talked about education, he didn't say free college. He said fucking Pell Grants. The idea that somebody
Access
gets out
to
of
healthcare.
jail, and it's like, hey, you can go to college now. You got a Pell Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fuck me running. No, I know.
Like you heard his campaign guy going like, Joe's brain's malfunctioning. He's like, Jill has to go on the email.
Jill needs to record some OnlyFans content.
Wait, sorry, we have one more Joe Biden clip. This is the weed smoking one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This one.
you say that you would decriminalize marijuana. What's the difference between legalizing it and decriminalizing it?
Because they're trying to find out whether or not there is any impact on the use of marijuana, not in leading you to other drugs, but what it affects. Does it affect long-term development of the brain? And we should wait till the studies are done. I think science matters.
I think we got decades and decades of studies from actual weed smokers, though.
Yeah, I do. I know a lot of weed smokers.
Okay. So he responded to a question that asked, what's the difference between two things with because,
Yeah.
which that's not how you can respond to that. That's not
Yeah.
allowed because
No,
that's
he does like the he knows he can't get away with saying that we have to keep marijuana illegal because it's a gateway drug.
Right.
Because that's been debunked so thoroughly now, it's just uncontroversial to state otherwise. So he says, no, we have to wait another 30 years because we got to wait for the next round of studies to
Yes.
show whether it harms your brain or something.
It's
And
like
then Charlemagne
climate change
says,
He'll
thing.
change
Yeah.
his mind on that really quickly, though. Even Republicans are really coming around to that because there's just too much money in it.
There's too much money, and public opinion is too strongly in favor of it at this point.
So he's trying to have it both ways here, but not answering the question. And then when Charlemagne says I think we have all the studies we need just based on all the people who've been smoking weed regularly for decades and are
I
part of
do.
society. And he goes, yeah, I do. I know
do
a lot.
what? Joe,
Yeah, I
Joe,
know-
what do you do? I do what? What did you think he said?
I know. He said I know a lot of weed smokers. I mean,
And he said,
I think he's
Wait a minute,
referring to Barack and the Choom Gang.
Tube Gang, we go hoop.
I was the first white boy to go to Hawaii and help find them seeds.
I want him to start, Felix. I wanted to start. I wanted to start. Wait.
What
I wanted
if
to.
Dro could cure Joe Biden's dementia?
I wanted to start talking about how you can add water to the bag you just bought, and he's like, "Yo, I'm paying for weight, not water. I can do eight bong rips in a row in my car off one load."
A lot of people don't think I could beat 9. Okay, listen, you got to get a life if you think I put orange peels in it. Okay. Oh, great! Here comes my mom to clear the deal. What? Go into YouTube and type "Can he beat 9" and tell me that isn't a Joe Biden speech.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there
it's
we go. That's-
uncanny, honestly.
Yeah, it's insane.
We
That
just all
is-
watch too much damn YouTube maniacs, and they turned into tulpas.
Yeah, Joe Biden used to just be a boring, shitty Democrat, and then he just became Dan Quinn.
Yeah, the thing they talk about. Oh, Joe Biden, he was always a gas bag, and he was always prone to gaffes. Yeah, but it was just boring political bullshit. Not this majesty, this Joycean logorrhea. It's amazing.
This shit owns.
It's so good, and that is
Yeah.
why I know they will not debate because that's too fun.
No, yeah,
we
they'll
don't get
never
that
be-
in this world.
It's good. The DNC that's going to be held on Zoom and start with like Fight Song 2 it's going to suck so much.
Awful.
Because it's going to suck because they're going to give Joe like everything a Hollywood producer gives his hyperactive child.
Yep.
And he's just going to talk about like Pell Grants for 3 hours. It's going to fucking blow. They should just like let him go off the cuff.
That would be awesome. Just like Trump should have.
Yeah.
I will put this down now. If they do have the trappings of a convention and they don't just scrap it entirely, which they honestly could. They could just have everyone vote via email.
Yeah.
If he gives an acceptance speech, it will be the shortest in history. They're not going to allow him to go out there for how long are those things? Half an hour? Even off a teleprompter, they don't trust that. So it's going to be like a 5-minute like list of basically just a string of rejected campaign slogans, and then they're going to wheel them off stage.
All right. That was Joe Biden on the Breakfast Club. I mean, honestly, just kind of demonstrating why he ran the table on everyone, including us. I mean, the guy's unstoppable. And again, none of this shit is going to like become a controversy that's going to ding his appeal in any way to anyone other than who is already firmly not voting for him. You know, so just make your peace with it. Like, don't try to correct him. Don't try to scold him. Don't try to mold him into something different or better. Because honestly, you're probably, if you want him to be elected, you should want him to do more shit like this, which is just wild the fuck out on TV and internet clips.
I do.
All right, let's close out the share screen. I got a couple other things we gotta get to today, and I would like to switch now the focus to as we normally do to our current president. Talking about
dang Cheeto.
Yeah, the damn Cheeto in chief. And I want to talk about just real quick, just one thing that Trump has done over the last couple weeks that I'm really here for, and that is We've established that you can't deplatform the president of the United States as much as you wish you could. But
sorry, Kamala Harris.
But given that he has a platform, I'm glad he is using it in this one particular detail, and that is reopening the cold case about the murder of an intern in Joe Scarborough's office when he was a Florida congressman.
Finally, some goddamn justice.
And I'm gonna read here from. Okay, so I love this. He goes, "This is a Trump tweet." He goes, "A lot of interest in this story about Psycho Joe Scarborough." So a young marathon runner just happened to faint in his office, hit her head on a desk, and die. I would think there is a lot more to the story than that. An affair? What about the so-called investigator? Reed's story. So for weeks now, he keeps calling Joe Scarborough Psycho Joe, which is so fucking cool.
Somebody's going to try to effect a citizen's arrest.
Yeah.
And then he goes here, a blow to her head, body found under his desk, left Congress suddenly. Big topic of discussion in Florida. And he's a nut job with bad ratings. Keep digging. Use forensics, geniuses.
There's so much gold in here. I like that it's like, there's so much good shit in here, but my favorite has to be like, he killed this woman, and also his ratings suck.
Yeah.
The
real problem is his terrible ratings.
Those are of equal weight.
Yeah.
Like, OJ's great. Did you see the ratings for the trial? They were amazing.
And then at the bottom of the article, it says Scarborough's co-host and wife, Mika Brzezinski, announced last week that she was going to speak to Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey about getting Trump banned from Twitter in an apparent response to the president's tweets about Scarborough.
They want to fire him for truth.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I just, President Trump, and all the junior Russ Cole brigade out there on Twitter, like, yes, reopen this case. There's a lot.
It is incredibly fishy.
Follow the money. Follow the money.
He was like tight bros with like the cops, like the police chief or something in the county. It was like a pro forma investigation, and then he left Congress that term. Like, he had just gotten in there with the Republican Revolution. He was in a safe seat.
Very young.
The guy was going to be like governor or fucking president someday. I guarantee you he thought he was. And then all of a sudden, he's out of Congress? Come on.
Needed to lie low.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, but
he was his Chappaquiddick, and he knew it.
And like the other thing about this article is it talks about how or a lot of the coverage of this talks about how a lot of people even on Fox News, it's just like this universal closing of ranks around Joe Scarborough across every platform of cable news, where they're like, oh, now the president's finally gone too far. And it's like, given what we know about fucking Redstone, Matt Lauer, fucking Ailes, fucking all these guys, It's just they're worried that their dead interns are going to come back to haunt them.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%
Yep. Whenever the media forms a shield wall around one of themselves accused of horrible crime, or their families perhaps accused of horrible crimes, it is because they all have the same shit in their fucking closets, and they want to make sure that they're going to have their back when it comes out.
Yeah.
All right, so to close out this week, I've got a doozy of a reading series for you that attempts to tackle a question that we have, attempted to take a stab at ourselves. And the question is, how is Donald Trump heralded as this like avatar of rugged American virtues and masculinity, despite being like the queeniest oaf in human history? The only problem is that this article comes courtesy of my favorite magazine, The Atlantic, and is written by the world's biggest pussy. I'm referring to, of course, Tom Nichols, also known as Radio Free Tom on Twitter, and author of such books as The Death of Expertise. Writing in The Atlantic, he asks, Donald Trump, the most unmanly president. Why don't the president's supporters hold him to their own standard of masculinity? And if there is any guy...
It's an interesting question.
Yeah. If there's any guy who's qualified to pose this question, it is a man who does open role play with a woman pretending to be his daughter on Twitter.
Swag.
So this is a long article. I'm not going to read all of it, but let's just dive in here. Tom Nichols attempting to answer the question, why is Trump, why do manly men love Trump so much despite his, I don't know, flaming is kind of the only word for it. Like, I don't think Trump is gay, but he just has very like queeny characteristics to him.
Yeah.
We've talked about
I'm
before.
going to repeat something my brother said, which I think is like genius. My brother is gay, and he said that he wishes when he was a kid that Donald Trump was like in his form now, because it was great. It would be great to have this guy who is
because representation is important.
Well, sort of. Like, he meant like it would be great to have this guy who's like a pussy, vain, cowardly, backstabbing, gossipy, just like
shallow,
status obsessed, shallow, but have it be a straight man. To show that like the worst stereotypes of a gay man could be all in a straight man.
It's true.
Yeah.
And they're not.
So I think Tom's sort of inability to answer this question or like or wrestle with it with his own issues is what's interesting about this article. All right, so Radio Free Tom begins by saying here, so many mysteries surround Donald Trump. The contents of his tax returns, the apparent miracle of his graduation from college. Some of them are merely curiosities, others are of national importance, such as to whether he understood the nuclear weapons briefing given to every president. I prefer not to dwell on this question. But since his first day as a presidential candidate, I have been baffled by one mystery in particular. Why do working-class white men, the most reliable component of Donald Trump's base, support someone who is, by their own standards, the least masculine man ever to hold the modern presidency? The question is not whether Trump fails to meet some archaic or idealized version of masculinity. The president's inability to measure up to Marcus Aurelius or Omar Bradley is not the issue. Rather, the question is why so many of Trump's working-class white male voters refuse to hold Trump to their own standards of masculinity, why they support a man who behaves more like a little boy. So to begin here, I like in some ways, Tom is right that Trump is, I guess, technically the least masculine man to ever hold the modern presidency. But the bar is very low there.
Yes.
It's not like Trump is a wild divergence from like previous presidents, like, I don't know, Ronald Reagan, who is just like a drooling jelly bean popping like actor. Like, I mean, he was a guy who literally just played tough guy. Ronald Reagan never even played tough guys in movies. He was always a square or like
even the actual like so-called tough guys, like going back, you would say
Teddy Roosevelt.
Did you ever read like Teddy Roosevelt's like journals when he was like slumming it and and on his gap year in the American West when he's just like, I'm so sad right now. It's all just like emo bullshit.
Yeah, and people think he's badass because at the turn of the century, 90% of being badass was just being fat.
Being fat and having a mustache.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what you did if you were gay until like really like I'd say honestly, let's have fun here. Let's say 2006. You would go into the military, and if you were straight and wanted to get tons of pussy, you got into musical theater.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, you go where the action is.
Yeah.
I also like here that his his two idealized visions of masculinity here are Marcus Aurelius and Omar Bradley. And it's like Omar Bradley, fair enough. He did, he did the, European theater in World War II. But like Marcus Aurelius, I love because it is the classic like dumb guy. Like it's the classic like invocation that every dumb guy who thinks they're smart goes to because they saw the movie Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal Lecter name checks Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius.
Well, like looking at the masculine feminine dichotomy throughout history through a modern lens of it makes no fucking sense. It makes zero sense. Like it doesn't even really make sense now because like people always are like bring up a 4-star general as like the avatar of traditional masculinity when it's like generals are obsessed with their appearance. They're obsessed with like little fucking trinkets. They have very like showman personalities. That's how you become a fucking general. Like they have this weird performer personality.
Yeah.
David Petraeus had to fucking cheat on his wife with his biographer. That's how virgin that dude is.
Also, if I'm remembering from seeing Patton, Omar Bradley, it was kind of a cuck.
Yeah,
He was sort of a bookish guy. Yeah, he was sort of a bookish, like, hey, let's maybe not launch a full scale attack right now.
Stop slapping that shell shocked soldier.
Yeah,
Gaulle and all the other generals of the Western, they were just all divas.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. The fucking ivory handled pistols that Patton had, for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, if you think about like the pomp and circumstance and like the theatrics of Napoleon, or let's be honest here, Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
Like that's a conqueror, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. In fact, like his alpha macho-ness is for his sense of confidence in his I can be a queenie lady. I don't have to compensate.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is that like Radio Free Tom here has underestimated like the elasticity and the sort of prescriptiveness, or he's overestimated how prescriptive working class men actually are about gender. Like maybe they, unlike maybe a guy like Radio Free Tom, know the difference between someone who's fancy and someone who's a sissy.
I mean, my God, Trump went in front of a sea of hooting yahoos in West Virginia to complain that hairspray doesn't hold as much as it used to.
But like,
and they all said, damn right,
they
sir.
loved it.
But like,
I know that feel. My wife tells me about it all the time.
Anyone who is around, like, whatever, mercenary homosexuals know that fussy men can be really aggro. And really, I mean, like, so-called sissies or whatever, feminine men, a lot of times have to be very tough and, like, actually tough. Because they get their asses kicked. And the thing is, like, with Trump, he's just like a little prince. But I don't think that I think that he really thinks that like working class men are more like homophobic or anti-feminine than they actually are. They're like, he's kind of a bitch.
Well, Amber, here, Radio Free Tom is going to give you his sort of bona fides here. So
nice.
So he says here, I am a son of the working class, and I know these cultural standards. The men I grew up with think of themselves as pretty tough guys, and most of them are. They are not the products of elite universities and cosmopolitan thinking. These are men whose fathers and grandfathers came from a culture that looks down upon lying, cheating, and bragging, especially about sex or courage. Okay, I'm going to stop right there and just say, like, I don't care. This is one cultural standard that I think will hold true across all eras of history, nationalities. Men of any type all lie about sex. They all brag about it, and they all exaggerate their perceived sexual conquests.
Every man pretends to have the average dick length of 10 inches.
Every one of the guys who like lived through the D-Day invasion came home and then multiplied by 20 the number of French women that they had fucked during the war.
I actually don't necessarily, I mean, I'm not a guy or whatever, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I think a lot of guys are way too just repressed to engage in like locker room talk. Like, they're like alarmed when they know how explicitly like women discuss sex.
I'm going to do a little bit of phrenology here. I'm assuming Tom Nichols, Radio Free Tom, is of Irish heritage. So, bzzzt. There's no culture of lying. You say, Thomas.
Right. Just do, yeah.
Interesting.
He goes on here.
You say that.
He goes on here. This is interesting. He goes, my father's best friend got the Silver Star for wiping out a German machine gun nest in Europe, and I never heard a word about it until after the man's funeral. Yeah, Tom, I guess you probably didn't hear a word about it because killing all those people probably really fucked him up for the rest of his life and probably
he didn't want to
Yeah.
talk to his friend's wiener kid about it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the time I just snuffed out a dozen people and I still see their faces every time I close my eyes. Oh, what's that? You've been reading Clausewitz? Fucking cool.
He goes,
little kid.
He goes, they admire and value the understated swagger, the rock-solid confidence, and the quiet reserve of such cultural heroes as John Wayne's Green Beret Colonel Mike Kirby and Sylvester Stallone's John Rambo, also, as it turns out, a former Green Beret. So two made-up people. And by the way, the whole point of Rambo was that his brain was totally fucked up from war as well.
Yeah,
And was
By the way, we saw a real Green Beret in the fucking Psycho who wanted to invade Venezuela. He's a complete lying idiot. Most people,
And a big weepy queen too.
yeah. Most people lie all the time.
So he
Like,
goes
it's
on-
shocking how much just normal people lie. That's a big part of our comedy on the show, is the amount that just like there are people, so many people in my lives who like fit like I guess Tom's standard of masculine outward appearances, but they were just inveterate liars. Like they just couldn't stop. They loved it.
But I also don't get what Tom's like working definition of masculinity is here. Like he goes back and forth between saying like actually like real men don't brag, as if bravado isn't like, you know, or hasn't historically been like a major part of masculinity depending on the culture. But then it's like, oh, but he's a bad guy, like, and he lies, and men don't lie. He's mixing up sort of affect with sort of what are considered the positive masculine virtues.
Amber, it's like he meant to write about masculinity, but he wrote about being a good boy. These are all
Yeah.
things a good boy
This is
does.
good boy, yeah. This is good boy talk, yeah.
well,
good
Amber,
boy
he
who
actually
deserves
does
the
give a
sweets.
working definition of masculinity.
Okay.
All right, so here he goes. They are, as an American Psychological Association feature describes them, men who adhere to norms such as toughness, dominance, self-reliance, heterosexual behaviors, restriction of emotional expression, and the avoidance of traditionally feminine attitudes and behavior. I assume Tom is reading from a version of the American Psychological Association that was from an edition when they, like, you know, homosexuality was considered a mental disorder.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is right next to the page this is the page adjacent to Wandering Womb syndrome.
Well, let's go through these one by one. What was the first one? Toughness, yes. I think actually, like, pretty universally, like, it's considered good to be tough, whatever that might be, and that's considered a positive masculine virtue. Next one?
Dominance,
Yeah.
self-reliance,
That's politically and historically contingent. Whether or not you're, like, a good citizen that contributes to, you know, whatever, the tribe or the Soviet, like, that one's flexible. But, you know, for Americans, I'd say yes.
heterosexual behaviors,
Yeah, we tend to want them to do that, historically speaking.
restriction of emotional expression,
Stoicism, if only that was valued more. Like, I mean, every guy from like Ohio guys to like Guidos to, I mean, like, you're measured by how much you can like throw a tantrum or pout. Like if you're Russian, like to be broody and moody, like that's very waspy. Like that's very culturally contingent.
and finally, the avoidance of traditionally feminine attitudes and behaviors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
Tom's never been to Italy.
That's just a tautology, though.
Yeah.
Tom has never been to Italy.
Yeah,
But he goes,
yeah, where they're all just. That's why they had to have that hard quarantine. They can't stop making out with their brother.
Yeah. yeah. Dude, the quarantine in Italy is so funny because it's like, oh, no, you mean I have to live with my mom for an indefinite period? Oh, that's the last thing I wanted.
he continues, though, he goes, but I didn't need an expert study to tell me this. They are all men like my late father and his friends, who understood that a man's word is his bond and that a handshake means something. They are men who still believe in a day's work for a day's wages. They feel that you should never thank another man when he hands you a paycheck that you earned. They shoulder most burdens in silence, perhaps to an unhealthy degree, and know there is honor in making an honest living and raising a family. And yet, many of these same men expect none of those characteristics from Trump, who is a vain, cowardly, lying, vulgar, jabbering blowhard. Put another way, as a question I've asked many of the men I know, is Trump a man your father and grandfather would have respected? Here's what I like about this. And I know Tom thinks this is bulletproof, but I got news for you. Your father and grandfather would have loved fucking Donald Trump and respected him more than they respect you, who's a college professor who writes about expertise and military strategy despite never actually having, gunned down a German machine gun.
Maybe not. Maybe he's totally right that, but what about Gary Cooper? Maybe he is right that there is something on. But that is completely irrelevant because you are assuming that when people vote, they're trying to vote for America's dad. That's not what the president is. People don't necessarily care about the character of the president. They want to know if he's going to do things that are good for them politically and economically. They don't care that he doesn't remind them of their fathers because normal, healthy people don't look at politicians as father figures.
He continues here. I should point out that I'm not criticizing Trump's manifest lack of masculinity solely because he offends my personal sense of maleness. He does, of course, but then again, a lot about the president offends me as a man, as a Christian, and as an American. Nor do I make these observations as a role model of male virtue. I was, in every way, an immature cad as a younger man. In the late middle age, I still struggle with the eternal issues of manhood, including what it means to be a good father and husband, especially the second time around after failing at marriage once already. And truth be told, I am not particularly manly. I wear Italian shoes with little buckles. I schedule my haircuts on Boston's Newberry Street weeks in advance. My shower is full of soaps and shampoos claiming scents like tobacco and caramel, and my shaving cream has bergamot in it, whatever that is.
I use a shaving cream with little or no alcohol, because alcohol dries your skin out and makes you look older.
I am not a psychologist, and I cannot adjudicate the theories of male behavior that might explain some of this. Others have tried. Two researchers who looked back at the 2016 presidential election suggested that support for Trump was higher in areas where there were more internet searches for topics such as erectile dysfunction, how to get girls, and penis enlargement than in pro-Hillary areas of the country. One can only hope that correlation is not causation. The idea that insecure men support bullies and authoritarians is hardly new. Recall that one of George Orwell's characters in 1984, there we go, a reference to 1984, that is the calling card of every fucking lazy, reactionary hack writing in The Atlantic or any other supposedly highbrow media platform. You have to throw in a reference to Animal Farm or 1984 to prove to the people reading it that you've read a book that everyone else read in high school.
Same way as, remember when we read those Atlantic articles, everybody has, when they're talking about conspiracy theories, everyone's got to reference Hofstadter for the exact same reason, just as a shibboleth indicating that they're worthy to talk about the subject.
And okay, so the rest of the article is he just breaks it down. Is Trump honorable? Is Trump courageous? Is Trump a man who respects?
That's irrelevant. No one fucking cares. The idea that people would vote for tax breaks or economic protectionism, or just because they fucking think that he's going to blow up the corrupt political system. They don't fucking care if he's a fucking prancing fairy. No one gives a shit.
Is Trump a man who respects women? Does Trump accept responsibility and look out for his team? And of course, the answer to all these questions is no. And these are all things where he's supposedly flouting the traditional masculine virtues. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but what I think is actually going on here, and what Tom Nichols and people who bring up this obvious fact that Trump is, in his personality and the fact that the weird way he stands, his billowy suits, the diapers that he wears, and his just generally, just in every way, his personality is not someone who would embody the traditional sort of stoic, John Ford, John Wayne, American cowboy hero, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing that I think he misses. And Amber, you're 100% right about the idea that people would vote for things that they expect to receive from a president and not vague personality traits that they see in their father and grandfather seems to be eluded him entirely. But what's also eluded him is that I think what he misses is that it's too easy to say, oh well, Trump is a phony. He's obviously a phony about all of these things that he's supposed to embody. But it misses the fact that I think Trump is very authentic in one crucial way that does resonate with people. He's a prick. He's an asshole. He's a cruel, cowardly little shit. And I think basically everybody in this country is in one way or another. The stoic, tough guy model that he thinks he's failing to live up to, nobody is that anymore. Everyone is a venal little coward nowadays, and that's why they like Donald Trump, because he is one of them. He is one of them, and crucially, he makes people like Tom Nichols mad.
Well, he doesn't kiss ass, and he doesn't kiss the ass of people like Tom Nichols, and that's fucking cool, and people fucking respect that. Also, I'll be honest, it's some of Biden's appeal to older voters, too.
Yes,
yeah, 100%.
He put that Charlemagne,
He's not a pussy.
the God kid, in his place. This youngster, the whippersnapper, talking to Joe Biden like he's not, doesn't get respect. Let me tell you, Jack. So, they saw that, and they're like, yeah, you should talk down to that little kid for not respecting you. And what is more alpha than when you're criticized by someone in the press accusing them of murder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Trump, literally, again, people are mixing up the difference between effete or feminine or whatever, and being a pussy and a wimp and a pushover. And Trump is a very tough, mean, vicious, effete dandy man. That's the thing. Haven't you ever met a
Tim
fashion
Roth and
gay?
Rob
They
Roy.
can be fucking ruthless. These are not tough people.
This reminds me of during the Bush administration. Every liberal thought it was the biggest gotcha to be this guy swagging around in a cowboy hat. He doesn't work on that ranch. He's from Maine and Connecticut. He's not a Texas oil man. He's not a tough swaggering cowboy. And it's of course they were right about that. All that brush clearing, I'm going to smoke him out, dead or alive shit was all contrived macho nonsense that bared no resemblance to George W. Bush's life or personality. And it was sold on that. But I think they're underestimating I don't want to say the intelligence, but just the sort of canniness for the Americans may be dumb, but they can spot a phony pretty fucking well. And the thing about George W. Bush that wasn't phony is, like Trump, he was generally a spiteful little prick. It was that meanness, that frat boy sadism is what was real and not phony, and what people wanted and responded to because they knew deep down inside they were that person as well. They are also spiteful, vicious little cowards. And
I don't even think it's about identifying with someone. I don't whatever, weakness disgusts me too. It's fucking gross. I don't think that Trump, well, no, I do think he's cool. I don't want Trump to be president. I would really prefer that, he could have run against, say, a Bernie Sanders to actually put this stuff into contrast, because Bernie's another person who doesn't kiss ass. But, no, it's disgusting watching this, parade of, just unctuous, sycophantic, the whole, the Biden interview. When they're do you feel black voters owe the Democratic Party votes? They have figured out that you're not allowed to fucking say that anymore. And instead of actually offering basic social democratic reforms, what they offer is, I see you, I hear you, you're valid. That's politics now. And it's disgusting.
I just think, Tom he mentions it in the article. He compares Trump to his father and grandfather, and then he can't help but compare himself to his father and grandfather.
Yeah, this is all Oedipal shit.
Yeah, he goes, I know I'm a little fancy boy. I have a college degree, and I wear little Italian shoes with buckles on them, and I get fancy haircuts and shit. And I think he's just as a guy like Tom Nichols, who is someone who was a bloodthirsty neocon until about 2 weeks ago, who is emotionally and pathologically needs to identify with the American empire and military as an avatar of his own perceived masculinity. The fact that Trump can lap him 10 times over among that demographic and embody that and actually be the commander-in-chief guy that is beloved by military operator guys, cops, firefighters, the tough
he's
guy
more alpha
avatar.
than you, Tom. He just is. He is more alpha than you.
And I think it just brings into even more sharp focus for these never Trump guys that they've always been pussies. They've always been pussies who need the U.S. military to like back up their own the fact that they're divorced fucking just whiners, and the fact that Trump is so visibly everything that they claim to be like embodying like weakness or venality and decadence in American culture shows that none of that shit matters, and they could have gotten away with being just that thing if they had wanted to, instead of pretending to be a fucking tough guy their entire life, even though all they do is write articles about Marcus Aurelius.
Remember Milo?
Sure.
Remember how beloved Milo was by a bunch of like downwardly mobile, like middle class kind of alt-right guys who were mostly straight, by the way.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. He was their queen.
I think it was UC Santa Cruz. At the UC Santa Cruz, they brought him into the auditorium for his speech on a palanquin.
Yeah.
4 nerds in sport coats carried him into the thing, and he was on a chair.
Yeah.
And they loved it.
Yeah. It's almost like, I don't know, people aren't like being fancy isn't the same thing as like being a pussy. Like, he was a mean fucking shit, and they liked that he was a mean shit, and that he antagonized people that they hated. And like, no one cares about Gary Cooper. Fuck off.
I want one more paragraph here. He says, Trump's media enablers do their best to shore up the fiction that Trump and the men who follow him are the most macho of men. The former White House aide Sebastian Gorka, one of Trump's most dedicated sycophants, has described Trump as a man's man, despite the fact that Trump has no hobbies or interests common to many American men other than sex. In this gang of
that's
sweat
questionable.
In this gang of sweat hogs, Gorka is the Arnold Horshack to Trump's Vinnie Barbarino, always admiring him as the most alpha of alphas. To listen to Gorka and others in Trump world, the president can turn his enemies to ash through sheer testosterone overload. Some Trump voters have even airbrushed the president's face onto the bodies of both Rambo and Rocky Balboa. The president has himself approvingly retweeted the Trump as Rocky meme. So he's saying that like, Trump supporters are foolishly pretending that Trump is Rocky or Rambo.
This man is not Rambo at all.
5 paragraphs earlier, I used those same fictional characters to uphold the traditional virtues of masculinity that I think that he's failing to live up to. Well, he's not. And the people who love Rambo and Rocky also love Trump. And this is the point I'm really trying to get at here, is that like everyone cues to these fictional representations of cowboys or soldiers or cops or fucking construction workers or whatever. I mean, the village people essentially. but they're covering up for the fact that like to the extent that ever existed, it doesn't anymore. Everybody is LARPing as this shit, and Trump does embody the American Western male at his heart more than any of those fictional representations of things that we like to imagine are virtuous. Trump is the American male.
Yep.
He gets it. He is it. And who is the American male? Bitchy, queeny, vain, venal, loves gossip, loves drama.
Soft like pudding.
Yeah. And would
listening to his podcasts.
Yep.
Exactly. So, and it's just all of it is just causing this great anxiety in Radio Free Tom, because he knows that deep down that's him.
Yep.
That Trump is him.
Yep.
And he hates it. He hates looking in the mirror. And you know what? Like Trump, like just get on board the Trump train. Like all these never Trump conservatives, you'd be a lot fucking better off.
It's
and also,
really true.
I don't just stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, they really do. Their anger at Trump is jealousy more than anything, that he is comfortable with himself.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's very insecure in some ways, but he is wildly comfortable being perceived anyway, so long as it's on his terms.
Yeah.
And they don't have that.
By the way, the only way to like really like being like a fet is just be like, yeah, bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
you got to work it.
Yeah. And he figured it out.
He works it. He works
being
that
a complete moron.
He works that runway.
Yeah, he does. He works. Like, and I like, despite being a complete fucking moron, he has this fantastic talent for bullying. And like, that's fucking cool. He bullies people that I also hate. Like, I get the appeal of Trump. And if you don't, and you refuse to say that you can't, you are either willfully ignorant and you're afraid that knowing why people, like Trump will somehow make you into a Trump supporter, or you're just a fucking idiot and a fucking pussy.
There you go. Tom Nichols, idiot, pussy, Atlantic contributor. There we go. I think that sums it up for this week's show. Yeah. Look at the way he stands.
That is alpha posture.
Trump does alpha posture all the time. The way he leans forward slightly.
Yeah.
He has a
he's on wires.
He has a signature walk. It's not the Naomi Campbell signature walk, but